iron fortification of foods is terrible. You know, the fact that you can run a magnet across cereal brands and pull out iron filings is alarming.
Hey, this is Ari. Welcome back to the show. With me today is Barton Scott, who is a chemical engineer, nutrition expert, and founder of Upgraded Formulas. And he is going to be talking all about his area of expertise, which is minerals and their relationship to human health, disease, longevity, and human performance. So think brain function, mood, energy levels, and so on. Lots of very interesting insights here, and I hope you enjoy it. Barton, welcome to the show.
Hey, Ari, great to be on with you.
So first of all, you have a unique interest in minerals and health more broadly, but minerals specifically. So how did that come about? How did you go from being a chemical engineer to developing this interest in health and then developing an interest in minerals specifically as it pertains to human health?
Like most people, it seems in health that they're really passionate about things. It's just absolute necessity, really. So a short sort of synopsis, people can see a full video that's on the website, but you know, my family was really close, luckily, growing up, and my mom, by the time she was in her early 60s, was retired and starting to have some health conditions. And both my parents were educators, and you know, we're living in like coastal Louisiana, and you know, it was a great place to grow up. I had a lot of time outdoors. I was in sports, and the combination of that, like trying to get her well, and also growing up with, among other sports, wrestling, and the knowledge of nutrition in wrestling being just so clear. Like in team sports, not as much, right? But when there's no breaks and you're making weight and you're thinking about how much you weigh and what weight class you'll be in and how you're going to weigh in this Saturday, but also for the dual meet, you know, in a few hours, and then how your energy gets consumed. And something like a Snickers at, you know, even at 9, you know, when I was competing, starting early in life, and it was just very obvious, like, wow, food makes a lot of difference. Oh, supplements are starting to come online, late 90s, you know. I'm 36 now, and so seeing that sort of that difference, you know, like, wow, okay, made a big difference. You know, ate a burger, like just like the burger part, meat, just some meat and sweet potato versus like something different, you know, and like, wow, okay, there's a big difference. So like that thinking started. I think it was pretty rare for most people in the late 90s, but I was starting to mold my worldview this way. And then food timing. All right, well, about to get on the mat, just had a match, going to have a match again in an hour. Like, is there time to eat? Oh, you know, if so, what do you eat? So I started thinking about this, and then I developed, as a result, a lot of deficiencies because of it. So by the time I was 22, I was really deep into nutrition. I feel like probably was able to help my mother more than honestly anyone else, but ultimately it wasn't enough. And towards her late 60s, she passes, and you know, being at peace with something like that is one thing, but like not being motivated by it is almost not a choice. And you know, no one likes to feel helpless. No one likes to feel like they can't help the people closest to them. They can't, you know, like we're talking about before the call. Fertility now is something that I care about a lot. And so finding testing that showed us what was actionable. I think you're this way too, very pragmatic, just super pragmatic about like, let's just address the problems. Let's first figure out what the hell we're working on, and then let's throw everything at it. And if we don't have something that works, then you know, it's obviously time to like think deeply on this and innovate. So yeah, that's how we got into minerals. And then ultimately I learned that from that point to now, that the absorption of the products we were trying just was not very effective. And so the deficiencies were staying from one test to another. We tried a lot of different tests and a lot of money trying to get her well, even outside of the conventional world. And then I had a ton of brain fog as that was happening, as she was getting worse, as she was passing. It was just kind of all a blur. But um, yeah, like I started to notice, okay, I need to get well too. And like, what's clearly everyone needs this. If my deficiencies aren't changing, hers aren't, and I'm in my 20s at the time, early 20s, she's in her late 60s. So yeah, that's at least a bit of the backstory kind of on fast forward. So
Okay, so how did this evolve into a focus on minerals specifically?
hmm, yeah, great question. So like I said, we're trying a lot of different tests, right? A lot of different types of tests. And a lot were coming back normal, which we know now is like not a surprise for going the conventional route. But even in the non-conventional route, there was not a ton of really clear, actionable, here's what to do, like here's this big gap right here, and we got to figure out, what's going on. Now, if we ran some of the tests that I've done on myself these days and do yearly or multiple times a year, that wouldn't be the case, I'm sure. But one of the real test that we found then that was super effective, and luckily we found a practitioner that knew a lot. I remember going in person early in my 20s and really having my eyes open because he was muscle testing. I'd never seen that before, and he was using he's from South Africa, and he just was super knowledgeable, this guy. I think he's retired now. And yeah, just seeing what I saw there was super eye-opening, and that was a hair analysis. And then seeing the intricacies of that he understood that, few people looking at that test understood it was really sort of like mesmerizing to me. And just in and of itself, because I had a minor in chemistry, I was about to finish chemical engineering. So I was pretty familiar with the periodic table and organic chemistry and just a lot of different things. And then I was seeing the connection between that and nutrition, but I was seeing this gap where, chemists look at an end product, chemical engineers are responsible for building the manufacturing processes around the world. And then, nutritionists sort of deal with they paint with the colors they're given, and they do their best, but there needs to be an interweaving of all of them, is what I noticed. So, yeah, that led to today. Yeah.
Okay. So there's a lot to talk about within the realm of minerals. Maybe this might be an interesting starting point to get into this. Um,
Mhm.
One guest that I've had on the show, I think maybe three times, at least two times, is Morley Robbins.
Mhm.
And he's got a big focus on copper. I'm sure you're familiar with him,
Yep.
given he's kind of all
Yep.
about minerals also.
Mhm.
Uh, I'm curious what you think of his take on human health as it pertains to minerals and copper in particular is his focus.
Mm. I think he's done an amazing job of compiling some great, very essential knowledge and research. So yeah, I'm definitely on the side of us most likely needing copper because, and when I say us, I mean most people, but especially people like with certainty, almost without testing, if someone is consuming a normal American diet or a normal pretty much anywhere diet these days, because anywhere you go in the world, even Japan now, they had a blue zone that's now eroded because McDonald's and other companies moved in, and it's just not considered a blue zone anymore.
I'm currently in a rapidly shrinking blue zone
Costa Rica,
in Nicoya, Costa Rica. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. There you go. So iron fortification of foods is terrible. The fact that you can run a magnet across cereal brands and pull out iron filings is alarming. Um, just generally, I would say that, yeah, it it absolutely is not an opinion that we are energy deficient. Most people that come to us with you or do any of your programs also are complaining about fatigue as a number one symptom, even if they're fit, even if they have a six pack, even if, X, Y, and Z, if they're the healthiest person in their friend group. Um, so that's been a sort of battle my whole life. And I mean, we make a copper supplement. I take it pretty much daily now. I didn't always, but yeah, people like Morley, and other, just other things I've found on my own have pointed this way. And other people that I've interviewed have asked questions about, hey, copper, and like, I'm trying this, I'm stacking it with this and that. And even if I wasn't doing that already, it's like, it's been a cool thing to sort of like guide you back on track when you're focused on other things. The main thing I would say is that the focus on minerals and heavy metals is really key for everyone, no matter what the budget is, no matter what other available tests and technologies there are. Like right now, I have a red light on. I think you have a book on red light. There's a lot of, I mean, it's not a question. It's kind of like gravity. It's just a matter of what are you going to do with it? It's like gravity exists. Like you really believe about it when you're standing on the rooftop and you're blindfolded and you're asked to walk around in a big circle. That's sort of like what we're doing from my point of view of when we're not testing regularly. Is we're really blindfolded and we don't realize the consequences. We don't realize that we're standing on the roof and it's a long ways down, and it's elements. It's the periodic table that is behaving just like gravity in our lives. It's just not quite as evident. And yet it's a root cause in every illness for sure. I think that's just, the more you understand it, the more clear that becomes.